Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online Series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out Yveltal. We have not really used this Pokemon very much, even back in the previous formats it was legal, and so I'm definitely excited to dive into trying out Yveltal. This team was built by Binjie. You may recognize him because we featured a ton of his teams on the channel in the last year. He's really been one of the best players and team builders, and so props to him for coming up with another really cool team. I've linked his Twitter down in the description below. And so Yveltal is a really cool restricted Pokemon because it is already really bulky. As you see, this set has an Assault Vest on it, so the idea is that it's really difficult to knock out. Combine that with Intimidate support, and suddenly, both special and physical attackers aren't doing nearly as much damage as they normally would. In addition, Yveltal, is only using Dark type and Flying type attacks here, but that's okay because you can decrease your opponent's special defense with those Max Darknesses. And Yveltal, if it gets a couple of Max Airstreams off in the late game, it can actually heal itself off, which is really cool, right? It's this Max Pokemon that can soak up a lot of damage in its 3 turns of Dynamax, and then potentially heal off afterwards with Oblivion Wing. Foul Play, Sucker Punch, and Snarl just gives you such good utility across the board, and actually, can really shut down a lot of common Pokemon in the format. What's pretty cool about this Yveltal, though, is that it doesn't need to necessarily Dynamax to succeed on this team. Metagross and Landorus are very strong max options with this team. As you can see, there is a weakness policy Metagross on this team, and the idea is that it synergizes pretty well with Yveltal. And one thing that I think is kind of tough to do is, as we've seen with previous weakness policy Metagrosses, right? It's really hard to deal with it while Dynamax while not activating its weakness policy, because if you want to damage it, you're probably going to use a super effective move to actually get a chunk of damage onto it. So, with this team, often you can actually end up Dynamaxing that Metagross and then use Yveltal to clean up in the late game. So, 3 really strong max options here in Yveltal, the Metagross, and Landorus, so it's pretty team dependent. Landorus here is pretty standard, but has that Life Orb on that Sword Stance. That Life Orb really just packs an extra punch and allows you to do so much damage. And then to round out the team, you've got, classic support in Incineroar, Regieleki, and Rillaboom, but the Rillaboom is Miracle Seed. That's really helpful because it allows you to protect. You're not locking yourself into something like Assault Vest or Choice Band, and at the same time, you get that extra damage output, which is really valuable against something like Kyogre, for example, which is one of the more common restricted Pokemon at the moment. And then for Incineroar, pretty standard set, but you will note the safety goggles and the taunt here. A lot of teams we've been using recently have carried safety goggles, and actually the other day someone in the comment section asked a good question, like, is this necessary? I think that for a lot of the teams we've been using, often it is just kind of a pretty safe option, especially in best of 1, and since Focus Sash and Mungus is so common in the format right now, it's definitely helpful. I wouldn't say it's an absolute necessity, but it definitely can improve your matchup significantly against a Mungus and Venusaur, both which are decently common in the format right now. So yeah, that's going to be it for the breakdown for this team. Let's get into today's episode. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please show support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And once again, please go check out Binjie, linked down in the description below. Question of the day, not related to Pokemon. I want to know what your favorite cereal is down in the comment section below. So let's get started. For the question of the day from my end, by the way, my answer would be Frosted Flakes. I've always loved Frosted Flakes, but I'm not a very picky person when it comes to cereal. I really like a lot. And so, yeah, I'd say that most of them I eat, but Frosted Flakes was always my go-to as a kid and still is my go-to nowadays. So let's jump into things. I think the other cool thing about Yveltal is that it is tricky from your opponent's end to actually predict what kind of set it's going to be. Most of the times you're going to expect the Dark type attacks, the Flying type attacks, but Yveltal is a Pokemon that can run Weakness Policy, Life Orb, Assault Vest. Those 3 items are all already really common on it. So it's I think often players, people play a little bit scared earlier because they don't want to activate that weakness policy. They want to respect that weakness policy. And in doing so, Yveltal, maybe you can just get a speed boost and then, really start outpacing the game. The Yveltal on this team also synergizes really nicely with Landorus-T, right? Because it's Landorus-T here is actually a really strong option even if you don't Dynamax it, especially because it has that Life Orb. So you partner Yveltal with Landorus, you can max Airstream and then give Landorus those speed boosts and make it really, really fast in the late game. Landorus with, just Life Orb Earthquakes kind of just cleans through. So, first game of the day, we're up against Comfey and Palkia. Okay, that's pretty neat. I love just seeing, all the different restricted Pokemon people are using at the moment. So, yeah, that's cool. Yveltal's good here. Metagross, maybe not as good. We probably want to just max Yveltal. The scary thing here, though, is that with Comfey and Palkia, you're probably just going to be able to successfully get the weakness policy activated on Palkia. Which is definitely scary. So how do I want to approach this? Rillaboom does pretty good damage, but of course if I bring Rillaboom, they can start healing themselves. I think we definitely play around Yveltal in this game. It's just a question of what they lead with. I think if I'm from their end, I just lead Comfey Palkia, honestly. That seems really safe. So I'm hoping we can leverage Assault Vest Yveltal and get some yeah, put in some work with that. I'm honestly thinking Aleki, because we have Volt Switch here. So with Aleki and Yveltal, I'm thinking we can just Volt Switch max Airstream turn 1. I think we want Rillaboom in the back because that's just a burst of damage onto Palkia. And then Landorus, actually my opponent doesn't have any ground resist or immune, so this is exactly what I was saying getting into the game. Partners pretty nicely here with the Yveltal. Incineroar is not a bad pick here, honestly, though, right? It's able to intimidate the opposing Kartana. It has Taunt, which is valuable, although the thing about Comfey is typically you just want to knock it out on turn 1, and I think in this game I'm probably just going to accept that Weakness Policy goes off, but because we're Assault Vest on the Yveltal, like, it's probably okay. Because we can just Dynamax and ideally, you know, just get some damage off, knock out Comfey, and then try to outpace the Palkia because we can outspeed it with Airstreams. So it is going to be Palkia, Comfey. I think from my opponent's perspective, it makes the most sense to just Draining Kiss here and just go for an attack with Palkia, but because we're Assault Vested, I think it's okay. Yeah, so Dark Aura is here. So we're already faster than Palkia, which is not really a big surprise. I think it makes the most sense to just try to eliminate Comfey here. So I'm going to go for that max Airstream. And I actually don't know if I need... I think I'd rather Thunderbolt here. If I'm Volt Switching, I have to switch back out into something. And I honestly think Landorus and Rillaboom are probably more important to have in the back. Plus, I think it's likely my opponent maybe targets Yveltal in this position. So I will just max Airstream into Comfey and Thunderbolt. I also am not like 100% confident that Volt Switch plus Airstream would get the knockout, but I think Thunderbolt should give me the extra damage to guarantee to KO onto Comfey. You know what would be really interesting here is if Palkia's... If you, like, Trick Room. Oh, but they switch out Palkia. Okay, that is really good for us. And they go into Incineroar, which is perfect. This really, I think, puts us in a fantastic spot if Comfey's not protecting and we get the knockout onto it turn 1. In my eyes, it makes sense for... Yeah, I think, like, what my opponent wanted to respect here was me potentially activating Weakness Policy on the Yveltal. By the way, that's also one of the reasons why I love this team, because you have the Yveltal next to the Aleki, and, like, I think often, like I said, the lack of knowing what item you have, especially in best of 1, can be really scary, because often if you see Aleki Yveltal, like, the first thing I'm thinking of is I want to respect Weakness Policy. And they don't protect the Comfey, which is perfect. So we get Thunderbolt off. Okay. I think Max Airstream should finish it off. If not, that's actually a really big issue, because then Trick Room probably goes up, but yeah, that's enough. Perfect. And this is the thing about Yveltal as well, is that you get a speed boost onto it, and then it can really just snowball pretty quickly, because it's not exactly, like, you know, it's not doing the most amount of damage out of Dynamax Pokemon, but that's fine, because it's just really, really difficult to knock out, especially with that Intimidate support in the back. So, yeah, we're in a really good position here, and I think the main thing here was, you know, I was willing to let my opponent even activate their Weakness Policy there. Because even if you get to +2 with Palkia, I mean, you either knock out the Regieleki or you damage the Yveltal, but if you damage Yveltal, I can just Max Darkness, Thunderbolt, you know, subsequent turns, keep lowering your special defense, I've got the Rillaboom in the back, and if you knock out the Aleki, well, then I have full HP Yveltal Dynamax, right, and that's looking pretty good. So, they bring out they bring Palkia back out, Incineroar is out on the field. One thing that's interesting is to note which Max Darkness to go for. We are Intimidated. So I think I'd rather just go for this one boosted from Snarl and protect here with the Aleki. And then we can just Thunderbolt. Like, the special defense drops are so good with this team as well. And then as we weaken up Palkia, you know, the Landorus in the back is looking pretty good as well. So I think little downside to protecting the Aleki here. I mean, sure, maybe my opponent just reads into that and goes for a parting shot onto the Yveltal. If they do, props to them. That's a great play. But because we had such a big advantage after turn 1, I'm willing to play as safe as possible because we're just in a better position right now. Having Rillaboom in the back is obviously really good to clean up the game against Palkia, and if Incineroar parting shots, then you're bringing something that's going to be a little bit weaker to what I have on the field right now, because Yveltal plus Aleki is just going to do so much damage. So we get the Max Darkness off. It's probably only going to do like 25%-ish or so, but that's okay, right? I'm not aiming to pick up a knockout right now. The most important thing is to just chip away at that special defense. So the fact that we get that is good. My opponent, as you noted, did not go for the fake out with the Incineroar, so props to them. Oh, wow. They actually went Hailstorm into Aleki. Interesting. I wonder if they were reading into a Landorus switch there. I don't think Hailstorm is exactly the most common attack on the Palkia, so that's pretty interesting as well. And they actually go for Snarl. Okay. So, nicely played by my opponent's end. Hailstorm is actually pretty scary because all of my Pokemon are weak to Ice, or 3 of the 4 I brought were weak to Ice, and Aleki obviously doesn't really want to take a Hailstorm either. So, that is kind of scary. We got Snarled. This is still up. No, this is neutral. This is at -1 special defense. We are at -1 special attack, which is okay. I mean, I could just Thunderbolt, Airstream, Incineroar. But I have Landorus in the back, right? So because I have Landorus, I feel like maybe it's better... I don't want to Volt Switch. I think I'm okay just max Airstreaming into Palkia and Thunderbolting into it. We're probably not going to knock it out, but then it's definitely going to be in KO range from an Earthquake, right? So then I just bring out Landorus and then just click Earthquake, and that's pretty good. Wow, it was actually really good damage. Yeah, the special defense drops that you get from the... Okay, so at this point, I think maybe even a Sucker Punch finishes that off. So this is the main thing. Without Weakness Policy activated on Palkia, you're not really pressuring my Yveltal with that much damage. They've real Max Quake as well. So that's pretty cool. Because they revealed Hailstorm the last turn, you know, I didn't want to Volt Switch and just bring in Rillaboom and get, like, dunked on by that. So I don't mind this too much. Because Yveltal's pretty fast right now. Now, obviously, the downside is I'm Intimidated and at -1, or now -2 special attack. But the cool thing about this Yveltal is that it has access to Foul Play as well. Yveltal just gets access to, like, so many good Dark type attacks, right? Sucker Punch, Snarl, and Foul Play. So it's, like, it's actually kind of tough to shut down because the combination of all of those kind of add up pretty quickly. So I'm going to bring out Landorus right now. Nope, that's Rillaboom. We want to bring out Landorus. And even despite being at -2 special attack, I just don't think my opponent has good answers against Yveltal for this endgame. So I am content to just click Earth... Oh, wait, I could Swords Dance. I think Swords Dance might be a little bit greedy here. I think it's fine to just Airstream and Oblivion Wing and Earthquake. Let's see what they might have in the back again. See, they don't have any Ground Resist or Immunes, right? So you actually just don't have a switch into Earthquake right now. So I think I'm fine just going for Oblivion Wing and Life Orb Earthquake in this position. Swords Dance is fancy, but I don't think we really need it in this position, and because Incineroar is the bigger threat to the Rillaboom that we have in the back, I don't mind knocking it out here, because then Palkia is going to faint here if it doesn't protect, and if it does protect, well, then the next turn I can just knock it out with the Yveltal. So this is why I think, like, the Yveltal is used really to support your team, but it can also be used to close out games, right? In this game, for example, we were able to use Yveltal to boost our speed up continuously. That's such a sick animation, by the way. So we get Oblivion Wing off, and it's nice that the Yveltal is faster here, because I think Earthquake now should definitely pick up the KO, unless they're Shukaberry. Looks like they are Shukaberry, actually. Oh, no, they're not. That was just the immune coming out. Okay, nice. We get a double KO. I think, like, we just had a really good turn 1 in this game, and I think if my opponent did go for the Self-Draining Kiss Weakness Policy combination, this could have gotten a little bit scarier, but I can definitely see what my opponent was going for turn 1. And that's the beauty of Regieleki Yveltal. If you don't know about this team, you have to respect the Weakness Policy. And, you know, I think that's the thing. Like, many other Yveltal teams at the moment, I do run Weakness Policy. You can partner it with the Regieleki and go for that, you know, self-activation. So Spectrier is the last one. Yveltal, really one of the best Pokemon to have against, like, Spectrier or Calyrex Shadow. So, yeah, things are looking pretty good right now. I think we can just Foul Play here. We have Rillaboom in the back, so yeah. Foul Play and Earthquake is fine. Rillaboom should come up and clean up the game, and Spectrier is really not going to do any damage into an Yveltal. Curious if Foul Play one-shots here. Let's see. It does not. Okay. But that's obviously really good damage. They go for Will-O-Wisp, but that's fine. Yveltal in this game was basically untouched, and I think the only way my opponent really could have dealt with it was Palkia with that Weakness Policy, like, right away on turn 1. So fortunately we were able to knock out Comfey. I think if Tripper went up in this game, things could have gotten a little bit dicier. Palkia with the Max Hailstorm, I have to say, I definitely wasn't expecting, because I think typically from Palkia I expect Max Quake, Geyser, and Wormwind. So interesting that it had the Hailstorm. I'm wondering if it didn't have Protect then, or maybe you just drop one of your stab attacks there, one of Wormwind or Geyser. But both of those are so good, so I don't know. I guess it also could have been, like, no, I don't think it was Assault Vested, and if it were Assault Vested, then we would have done more damage, we would have done less damage with the Max Airstream. So I'm curious on what I would assume Weakness Policy, and then they just don't have Protect on the Palkia. That's my best bet here, but I'm not 100% sure. Alright, let's get into our next match here. Mewtwo! Okay, Yveltal looks really good here, especially against Mewtwo and Spectrier. What I do have to be careful about, though, is potentially lowering Milotic special defense, because that will activate competitive. And actually Thundurus as well, right? Because that might have Defiant. So this is interesting, because maybe we actually use regular Yveltal here, and we Dynamax the Metagross. I'm actually not really... I kind of like that. Max Metagross feels decent here. It's kind of hard to KO, like, without activating the weakness policy. Intimidate's really not valuable for me here, right? The only thing I'm intimidating is the Mienshao. So I don't think we bring Incineroar here. Rillaboom's pretty solid. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Yveltal, Metagross, Regieleki, Rillaboom. It's just... Life Orb Landorus is not bad here. It's just slower than everything. So it's good if I can get a max Airstream boost onto it. Otherwise, I think that it's not incredible. I really don't like leading Landorus. And the thing is, with two, like, Pokemon on my opponent's team, I can maybe get boosted off it. Yeah, I'm not super confident in it. You know what? I'm going to lead Regieleki Metagross with Rillaboom and Yveltal in the back. Because if I lead AD Yveltal and they lead Thundurus with, like Life Orb Physical Thundurus and they max, that's really bad for us. Whereas Metagross is at least a little bit better of an answer against the potential Dynamax Thundurus on their end. Now, if they didn't have Thundurus, like, I would easily eat Yveltal, because, there's just nothing that counters it other than the Thundurus. But Thundurus is such a big counter that I think I have to show it respect with the lead matchup here. But they go with Mewtwo and Mienshao. So Yveltal would have been great here, but it's okay. I don't mind leading a little bit more flexible. So I'm really curious about what Mewtwo does here, honestly. Mienshao, we just use, gets access to Wide Guard. Focus Sash is typically the most common item. I lean towards Protect here. And just, max Steel Spiking. Max Quake into Mienshao could be interesting, too. Gives me a special defense boost. I don't think I need damage onto Mewtwo, because I have this Yveltal in the back. The thing is, though, if they max Mewtwo here, then we can just max Yveltal later. So maybe turn 1, I honestly just double Protect and see what they go for. Because I'm willing to sacrifice 2 turns and take damage to max Yveltal. Because we've gotten their Mewtwo to Dynamax. Yeah, this is what I wanted to see. I don't know. Alternatively, I could have just attacked with Metagross, but because they're committing with Mewtwo this early on, this means that Thundurus isn't as big of a threat to me. I guess it still is kind of scary, though, but that is pretty sick to see. I definitely want to use Mewtwo at some point. Mewtwo's never been super good in the years that it's been legal in, but one of my favorite teams, actually in VGC history, was a team Hui-Ha built in 2010, that he got top 8 at the World Championships with, where he used, Trick Room Mewtwo. So that's the strat. Brutal Swing. Okay. I don't know why I actually didn't see that coming, but that is really, really cool. So it's a weakness policy set. Very interesting. Now, my only fear is if they Wide Guard next turn, because I really want to Electro Web here to drop that speed. And they go for Flare. Okay, so they're going to end up activating policy here. I'm very glad I did not Dynamax Metagross there, because, yeah, that would have been bad news if we maxed. It would have been very bad news. Okay, so they procced our policy. I think the play here is to Electro Web and go for a Iron Head onto Mewtwo. I think that's fine. That's really cool. I think one of the best ways to use any of the restricted Pokemon is just to slap a weakness policy on it and figure out a nice way to get that weakness policy activated. They switched out Mienshao, which I'm happy about. It's going to be Volcarona. Now, that obviously has potential redirection support with Rage Powder, so I do have to be careful about that. Shiny Volk is so sick. But we get a lot of damage with Electro Web, honestly. And more importantly, we get the speed drop on both of these, which is mainly what I was looking for. So I'm happy about that. Oh, we actually just outspeed with Metagross now. That's really nice. I forgot about that. And they go for Airstream. Okay. Onto Metagross. It's enough for a knockout. Airstream, Flare, Psychic. I wonder if it just doesn't have Protect then. Presumably you have Max Psychic, right? I'd be really surprised if it didn't have that. I think, it has to be Yveltal. There's no way we can go into Rillaboom right now. I mean, this isn't bad. This is what I was saying, right? I wanted to sacrifice 2 early turns because I figured Dynamax Yveltal would be really good here. I don't think Thunderbolt KOs Volcarona, so I think we just go for Electro Web, Dynamax, and Airstream here. And I will target the Mewtwo. Presumably this is getting redirected into Volcarona, but that's okay. The reason I want to Airstream is because if they don't go for their own Max Airstream, then we will just consistently outspeed Mewtwo. Actually, we will anyway. But there's a chance Regieleki faints here. Yeah, I just want to make sure I outpace Mewtwo next turn. So, once again, I've spoken about this concept a lot in my videos in Sword and Shield, but if you can commit your opponent to Dynamaxing earlier on, and you have something that counters that later, it's good. However, my opponent getting Volcarona here was great for them. Yeah, because they can Rage Powder now. Whereas if they didn't have Volcarona and like Mienshao was still out on the field, then, you know, I would cleanly just Electro Web and knock out the Mewtwo. But this is still fine. Gosh, I actually really wonder if Magnet Thunderbolt could have KO'd. Because if so, then yeah, I should have just Thunderbolted. But I don't mind this. Like, now I guarantee outspeed with this Yveltal in the endgame, right? Because we're Assault Vested, I don't think you can one-shot the Yveltal even with the +2 attack. And if you knock out the Regieleki, that's fine, right? Because I have Rillaboom, and now I just eliminated the biggest threat to Rillaboom in Volcarona. So, glad Volcarona is out of the way. And they're just going to go for an Airstream of their own, which is fine, into Yveltal. Yeah, look how strong Assault Vest Yveltal is. That's a +2 max move, and we took 33% total. So, yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape right now. I guess you probably bring in Mienshao again. I mean, obviously you can just Fake Out. But now your Dynamax ends. And I think I'm always just Airstreaming with the... I think there's very little downside to protecting here and Airstreaming into Mewtwo. This covers a Ally Switch option. It covers the Fake Out for Mienshao. I outspeed the Mewtwo, so I think this is a really safe play to make. And there's little downside to protecting with the Regieleki here, because Mewtwo is the only... Well, actually, Mienshao does get good damage with close combat, but yeah, they're going to go Fake Out into Regieleki. Perfect. So this is one of the reasons why I really like Max Yveltal. It's just so bulky, but it's actually able to threaten with a lot of damage too, because a lot of common Pokemon are pretty weak to that combination of Flying and Dark, right? You all saw how good Galarian Moltres was previously. Matches up really well into a lot of Pokemon in the format, and like there are very few Pokemon that like consistently resist Flying and Dark, right? And then just paired with a double Intimidate on this team, it's really, really tough to deal with. So Spectrier comes out from my opponent's end. Once again, Yveltal kind of just cleans up against Spectrier. I think in this position, we can just Thunderbolt into Mienshao, and is there any way for them? We're at what, +2 speed, +2 on both? Yeah, so I think there's very little downside to just Thunderbolting Mienshao, Max Darkness into Spectrier. Oh, let's go for the best Max Darkness possible. Well, actually, all of them should KO, right? Yeah, I'd be surprised if Spectre could survive any of them. Yeah, and they end up forfeiting. So this is why it's really important to play flexible, right? In this game, I didn't commit to Dynamaxing the Yveltal or the Metagross, but I wanted the option of both. And while Yveltal as a lead would have been super good for us, the thing is, like, it's bad if my opponent leads, like, physical Thundurus. Like, I don't know, Mienshao Thundurus, for example. I'm just kind of in a tricky position there with the Yveltal. So I think often it's good to go into a game with the game plan, but like potentially adjust that game plan based off what your opponent's brought. Especially in best of one in VGC, like I'm always asking myself, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst lead that I can possibly go up against? And the way I typically identify that is like, okay, what's my strongest Pokemon? And you know, in this format, it is often going to be the restricted Pokemon. And then so whatever my opponent's counters to that Pokemon, and then how do I counter that counter? Thundurus is the counter to Yveltal, and I was like, okay, well, Metagross is a solution against the Thundurus. So yeah. All right, Charizard Sun here with Groudon. This team comp is really scary good. It is really, really good. Goggles Incin is actually really interesting here, I think. Because I'm thinking we go with Incineroar or Yveltal as a lead, because I have Fake Out with this. Landorus in the back. Also, Incineroar has Taunt here, which is super good against Porygon, should they want to go the Trick route. So, yeah, I think it's definitely Incineroar plus Yveltal here. It's crazy that I'm thinking that Rillaboom could actually be good here, right? Because it actually does a pretty decent job into Porygon, Regieleki, and Groudon. Bringing Metagross is really not that good, especially because I think I'm always Dynamaxing Yveltal here. I mean, Landorus is really good. The scary thing about Landorus is it can be amazing in this matchup, but it can also just be terrible depending on how I play with it. Because if Porygon is on the field and it just Ice Beams us, it's like a disaster for Landorus, right? So I have to be really careful about when I bring this out, and I have to make sure that it's not out on the field against Porygon. And then as the last one, it's between Regieleki and Rillaboom. Rillaboom, oddly enough, actually could be good here. But you know what? I'm going to go with Regieleki because it gives me something that outspeeds that Charizard, and Charizard alone is pretty scary. Because it is going to be... Well, my opponent has 3 max threats here, primarily, right? Charizard, Groudon, Venusaur are all pretty likely. But I think often with these teams, Groudon is not going to be maxing, and you're going to let the Charizard or the Venusaur max, because they obviously just have such good Gigantamax forms, and can really, really sweep through. So, yeah, let's see what they go with here. Okay, what do we got? Porygon and Incineroar. Okay, so this is very passive from their end, which clearly indicates they're trying to go Trick Room. It's frustrating because I have Taunt with the... Oh, no, I can just Fake Out with my Incineroar turn 1, Taunt turn 2. Oh, but their Incineroar is faster. That makes this kind of awkward. Because I don't think you're ever going to Fake Out Yveltal because you're expecting it to Dynamax. Maybe we Speed Tie with the Incineroars. They probably get Trick Room up. I've got a Lecky in the back. Okay, but if Trick Room goes up, how bad is it for us? It's not terrible, because then your Incineroar's in an awkward spot. I can Parting Shot and then bring Incin back out to taunt, like, intimidate the Groudon. So turn 1, I think I'm just going to Fake Out. I don't want to Dynamax here. There's really no point in maxing because I'm not taking much damage, so I might as well just get some chip damage on the board. Porygon can obviously recover, so I'd rather target Incineroar here. Yeah, so they Fake Out into Incin. It is a little bit unfortunate they're faster than us, because if not, then I could have just Faked Out Oblivion Wing turn 1, turn 2 just go Taunt, and then potentially even just max the Yveltal. So, yeah. I think Trick Room is going to go up here, and that's exactly what happens, but it's not the end of the world for us. What do I want to do here? I think Incineroar is likely to Parting Shot, so what I can do... Well, I guess my Parting Shot will go off first, unfortunately. But I can Foul Play into the Incineroar slot, because you're probably going to switch in Groudon into that slot. And I don't mind Parting Shotting into the Porygon. Actually, what if I just Flare Blitz the Incineroar slot? No, that doesn't make sense, right? Because, yeah, we're gonna move first. I don't think there's much value in taunting Porygon. I want a Parting Shot so it does less damage with Ice Beams, and I'm going to go for the Foul Play onto Incineroar, because I think it's likely that goes on into Groudon right now. Okay, they go for a Tri-Attack onto my Incin. That's fine. I don't mind that. That's not good. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Okay. Well, that's why Tri-Attack is such a good move. They did Parting Shot, though, so I'm hoping to see Groudon come in. Because if we get a Foul Play into a Groudon, it's pretty solid. I really needed Incineroar in this game, though. And the awkward thing is, like, I don't need... If it were frozen, but I, like, managed to switch out before or after, I mean, that would never work. But, like, the idea is if Incin wasn't on the field, then even if it were frozen, it's fine. But the reality is that it is out on the field right now. I do get the Foul Play into Groudon, though, which is great. Okay. That definitely is a little unfortunate, I have to say. It is not ideal. I think I'm going to go into Landorus solely for Intimidate here, because Intimidate alone is really valuable into my opponent right now. So what do we think is going to be in the back? Regardless, I think we can Dynamax Yveltal. So I'm gonna go into Landorus, I'm going to max this thing, and I'm going to start Max Darknessing. Man, I actually don't know which of the Max Darknesses does the most into Groudon. I'm going to go for the special one. So I'm glad I got the Foul Play off, and if we didn't get frozen here, I actually think we'd be in such a good shape, right? Because I could just, like, go into Landorus and then swap Landorus back out into Incineroar for an Intimidate onto Groudon, and then, like, Incin pressures would Fake Out the subsequent turn. The Porygon would be at -1, so I wouldn't think it would KO either, so... Yeah, definitely a little bit frustrating to get frozen there, but, you know, that's why Tri-Attack is just such a good a move. Obviously, in addition to Porygon getting the same type attack bonus, but I think Yveltal has such a good matchup into my opponent's team that this is still very far from over, and, like, no reason to tilt, really, right? I don't know if maxing Yveltal actually was the play, though. Okay, they go Ice Beam into Yveltal. And Thunder Punch, interesting. Yeah, Yveltal takes that like a champ. This is probably not going to KO, unfortunately. Yeah, we get a special defense drop, though, which is good. The special defense drops actually really add up, because if Porygon stays out in this game the entire time, then I can have an end game, potentially, in which it's just at, like, -3 SPDF, right? I'm going to swap back out into Incineroar now, and go for another Max Darkness onto Groudon. The good thing is that Groudon was one of the main threats, and, like, that's kind of checked now. I'm just really curious who maxes on my opponent's end, because, like I said, it is probably going to be Charizard or Venusaur. Landorus switch out is kind of obvious as well. I could have just protected Landorus in this position. Yeah. The thing about Freeze that's scary is you just, like, it's not like Sleep where it's like, at least I know after 3 turns I'll, you know, wake up. With Freeze, like, Incineroar might just be useless for the rest of the game. That might be a Incin switch in. Yeah, that's a good switch. That is a very good switch. Okay. But it's okay, because the thing about this Yveltal, once again, is that, like, even if you drop my stats, my foul plays will still do a lot in the end game. So we're both kind of cycling around right now. I also give myself a chance to maybe thaw out with the Incin, right? Yeah. Okay, they go for Ice Beam, so that's good. Man, I guess I got it protected there, but I don't mind getting Incineroar into this position. Yeah, honestly, I question whether or not I needed to Dynamax Yveltal, but I wanted a cover for their Incineroar Dynamaxing, or sorry, their Groudon Dynamaxing potentially. Although I guess that's relatively unlikely. I'm going to Airstream here into the Incineroar slot this next turn, especially after getting that special defense drop. There's Citrus Berry, okay. Then we're not KOing. Well, that's a little unfortunate. It's the last turn of Trick Room, where I'm at -1 special attack, they're at -2 special defense. Man, I mean, I don't really care about Incineroar, right? Given what I have in the back, like, here, Flare Blitz into Porygon and just max... Oh, I think... I don't know, we want to go for another Darkness because we want another special defense drop on a Porygon, I think. Okay, they just go for Ice Beam, that's fine. Yeah, fortunately we're able to thaw because of... Oh, wait, actually because of that, should I just stayed in earlier? I didn't even think about that, how, like, I could just insta-thaw with Flare Blitz. They go for another Parting Shot, but I think this is okay. Oh, I don't know. Maybe Airstreaming was the right play there because it ensures that I outspeed Charizard, which I think now is actually a really big threat to me. Because I didn't Airstream once, did I? Would you really go into Charizard here, though? Okay, they do go into Groudon. Yeah, so the good thing here is this next turn, I should just be able to pick up a double knockout, right? Because I've lowered your Porygon special defense so much. So I can just Oblivion Wing into Porygon, Flare Blitz into Groudon. I think that's pretty good for us. I always forget which moves thought you out of Ice, by the way, as well. It's weird that it's just not every fire type attack. So I didn't even think about that as an option earlier. But I mean, Flare Blitz is a lot in. I think I want to Oblivion Wing into that and Flare Blitz into Groudon. Actually, is Groudon going to outspeed Incineroar? Probably, right? So it's probably better to Oblivion Wing the Groudon. Or, sorry, I should say Foul Play Groudon. Flare Blitz into Porygon. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for that. I guess you could switch Groudon out and back out into Incineroar, but they don't switch, which is really good. Because I think this is just a double knockout for us right now. Which means they don't get Trick Room up again as well, which is really valuable. Okay, nice. And this should KO, right? The last one looked like it did enough. Okay, good. So we got rid of Porygon. We got rid of Incineroar. Now the question I have is, who do you have in the back? Sunlight Phase as well, which is that's actually a really big deal now that I think about it, because neither Charizard nor Venusaur can take advantage of the sun anymore. That's actually really, really critical. Wow, I didn't even think about that. I do think I should have Airstreamed with Yveltal once, though, because then it ensures we outspeed in this endgame. And that is going to be... It is Charizard, but yeah, if you're G-Max Charizard, you can't even get the sun up anymore. So, that's really good for us. Okay, we have a Lecky Landorus. Things are looking pretty good for us. This turn is kind of dud. I can Parting Shot. The question is... I mean, maybe I switch this thing out, right? Oh, I don't really want to switch out into either of these, though, but I want a single Snarl off if I can. Yeah, actually, despite being, like, we're up 4-2, this is still very far from over. It is a weird spot to be in, because Landorus plus Lecky are both so good in this endgame. But I honestly think the play might be to sacrifice Land. I just don't know if Landorus gets one shot. It's definitely Parting Shot here. Okay, I mean, I'm just going to Parting Shot Snarl. Oh, I guess here, if you're my opponent, what do? Fake out Yveltal, max Airstream into Incin? That's probably your best play. Yeah, honestly, Charizard could still definitely pull off this comeback right now. Maybe I should have switched Yveltal out then. Because with Assault Vest, like, I can just heal back with Oblivion Wing into Incineroar. This is why I would have liked to Airstream earlier, but I suppose they could just Airstream themselves. Yeah, it is Fake Out into Yveltal. And Airstream. This should knock out Incineroar, right? Okay. So now I bring out Landorus. They got a crit, but I think that's KOing anyway, so I don't think that really mattered. I bring out Landorus, and man, then the question really is, do you one-shot Landorus with Gmax Wildfire? I think the answer to that question is yes. But I'm really not sure. I don't know my damage calc super well in this position. I mean, at least the sun is not up, but yeah, this is why, like, I don't know if I used my Dynamax super properly here, because I think Max Yveltal was best to use when my opponent was Max as well. So, like, now they have a speed boost on this thing. You can Gmax Wildfire Landorus. Sun isn't up, so I really don't know if it's enough for a one-hit KO. Because if not, then I can just Earthquake here and Oblivion Wing. Okay, I think I will just Earthquake Oblivion Wing here. Yeah, they Wildfire. I don't know. Maybe does it one shot? Oh, we survive. Okay. Well, actually, maybe Incineroar just outspeeds us now with the speed boost too. That's the other question. Okay, they don't. That's huge. I think that secures the game for us. Well, actually, well, we KO Incin here, right? I could have Rock Slided. I just really didn't want to miss. Gosh, I actually wish I Snarled here now. I don't know. If I went Rock Slide Oblivion Wing into Charizard, that would have been a game-winning play. I probably should have Snarled in that position. Okay, we have a Lucky in the back. I think because we have a Lucky in the back and they don't have Sun, I just protect the Alecki and Snarl right now. And then they're at -1 special attack, and then Thunderbolt just finishes off Charizard. And Heat Wave shouldn't KO us. So, yeah. I should have Snarled last turn. I think I wanted to Oblivion Wing in case the Gmax Wildfire one-shot Landorus, but then I guess if you just one-shot Landorus, I probably lose the game there, so I need to make a better play. Oh, they Quake. They have Max Quake. That may be a problem. That very well may be a problem. So that means you can knock us out. This is going to be a scary endgame, but the upside is that they are at unless their Charizard's also slow. At +1 speed, do you outspeed Max Speed Alecki? I actually don't know. It might not. Okay, their Dynamax is over. Oh, this is a doozy of a match. I don't know. I really think maybe I should have switched out Yveltal. Obviously, I could have Rock Slided as well. Okay, so 2 turns of Wildfire. I think I need to Oblivion Wing just for healing right now. So, T-Bolt. If we're just faster here, we'll win anyway, but I don't know if we are. They could also miss a Heat Wave. They just go for Protect. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you get more Wildfire damage off. Yeah, that's a nice Max Quake. What does Charizard hit? Is it 167? So we are Max Speed Alecki, right? I need to double check that. But if we are, I think we actually outspeed because Max Speed Alecki is 262 speed. And Charizard would be at like over 240. Oh shoot, we're not max speed. Oh no, that's bad. That's bad. Okay. Then I think Charizard will outspeed us here. I was playing thinking we were max speed this whole time. I should have double checked that. But they miss Heat Wave. Oh wow. And Yveltal actually hung on anyway. So I'm thinking because Yveltal hung on, maybe we could have won with Yveltal anyway, because Oblivion Wing there does enough to heal back. And then I think we can survive another Heat Wave and then another Oblivion Wing KOs. But then I suppose they would have just protected. Anyway, that was a really lucky dodge. It's really close if not, because I think it favors them more, mainly because we are -2 special attack. So I don't know. I think because in this game, if Landorus gets KO'd anyway, I think maybe just Rock Slide Oblivion Wing into Charizard there would have been a game-winning play. I guess if we miss Rock Slide, though, we just insta-lose. And with Earthquake, at least I can guarantee that it's a 2v1. But yeah, I should have remembered that I also just want to double confirm. Well, actually, it didn't end up mattering in this game because the Alecki was not max speed anyway. But I think max speed Alecki outspeeds Charizard at +1. But I just want to double confirm that. Yeah, that was, I don't know. I also could have just Flare Blitzed one. No, I think I always have to switch Groudon Incin out in that position. I should have Airstreamed, though, maybe, with the Yveltal. Charizard. Let's see if you're max speed. Yeah, it is base 100. 167. And then Regieleki hits 262. So if we were max speed Lecky, then that game would have been a lock, but as you can see, we're not. So it was Life Orb Charizard, they were max speed, yeah, Scorching Sands. We really lucky dodge there in the end. It was a Selvest Groudon. Okay, that's really cool. Wide Lens Venusaur, Focus Regieleki, Eviolite Porygon, and Citrus Incin. It would have been really close. The problems that I would have taken, I don't know if I would have healed enough. Because the thing is, I would heal, but then your next Heat Wave becomes single target against me. And you get the last turn of G-Max Wildfire, so I think my opponent probably wins that if they just hit both, like 3 Heat Waves. You probably need a Heat Wave. Well, they had Air Slash, right? So I don't know if Air Slash would have KO'd at -1 special attack from after Yveltal healed up. But we'll play one last game here, because it's, yeah, first time we're showing off this team. And it's a Yveltal mirror, but they've got Centiskorch, okay? Haven't seen that since Sajan's team, but that's neat. Okay, what do we got here? Well, Comfey Yveltal is definitely scary. Man, that's super scary. Because I feel like you just outpace me if you go Comfey Yveltal. So maybe this is actually where Max Rockfall Landorus could come up huge for us. Because, yeah, we are jolly max speed with this one. Interestingly enough, the way, yeah, Yveltal's Translate, Landorus goes first. It is tempting. It is tempting. You go Landorus. I think this might be a Dynamax Landorus game, honestly. Mainly because Yveltal's their only real max option. Maybe Centiskorch, but Landorus kind of crushes both of those. Okay. So let's go with Landorus and Lecky. Because then I can just, yeah, max. I can do a bunch of things with this lead. Yveltal in the back. Yveltal's still really good, don't get me wrong. I think I'm going to not be in a great place if we just both max our Yveltals and they have their Yveltal +2, whereas we don't. It just doesn't seem super good for us, right? And then Incineroar or Rillaboom is the last one. I lean towards Rillaboom. Well, Incin does get to Parting Shot, I guess. Okay, you know what? I'm actually going to bring Incineroar here. It's a little bit bulkier, and it has Parting Shot, which can help against Yveltal. Flare Blitz does pretty good damage into a lot of my opponent's mons, too. The main reason for Rillaboom was because I think they could have brought Urshifu out here. So, let's see. Yeah, this is scary. Yveltal Mirror is definitely interesting. But I'm not going to max here, most likely. They go Comfey Lecky, though. Okay. I wonder if your screens, then, with the... I honestly think what I do here is just max Airstream with the Landorus. Because I'm Life Orb, and Life Orb Landorus does so much damage into my opponent's entire team. So, like, even if your screens, like, these two Pokemon threaten Yveltal immensely. Oh, wait, I could Swords Dance. Isn't that the play? I think that's the play. I like Swords Dance and just Electro Web turn 1. Even if you Trick Room here, it's really not the end of the world, because then you're just stuck with the Lecky out. Like, the reason to max Airstream and Electro Web or Thunderbolt into Comfey is just so they don't have Trick Room up. Maybe I got baited here into Swords Dancing, actually. Because if you just Volt Switch Trick Room here, and then next turn Self-Draining Kiss, isn't that pretty bad for us? I think so. Yeah, I think Trick Room... I think I got a little greedy here. Because imagine if I just Airstream and Thunderbolt into a... Like, unless they didn't Trick Room, but there's no way they don't Trick Room here with the Comfey. And you bring out Yveltal right now, I assume. Which I guess is also awkward because I just Electro Web, so I might have activated Policy. I think Landorus should survive a +2 Airstream if we're Dynamax, so that's why, like, I think it's okay, but... I honestly feel like I could have snowballed this game just by denying Trick Room here, and I got a little bit happy, yeah, clicking Swords Dance. The good thing is that Landorus should just one-shot everything now, but... it's probably going to take a lot of damage before it gets those one-shots off, right? Unless for some bizarre reason my opponent didn't Trick Room. We actually missed both. Maybe that works in our favor, because otherwise my opponent just... Like, now my opponent has to self-target next turn. Yeah, Trick Room did go up. It should have just been Thunderbolt Airstream into Comfey. That's like a game-winning play on turn 1 for us. I didn't take it. So this was me bringing the right Pokemon, just not having the best execution. But that's okay. Curious how fast their Yveltal is. I am just going to max Rockfall right now into them. And I like Volt Switching here, I think, into Comfey. I mean, we should one-shot Yveltal. So, let's see. Okay, they are slower or faster under Trick Room, unfortunately. But like I said, I think we should survive a +2 Max Darkness with Landorus and then get the knockout in return. So it's really not the end of the world for us. But this, based off the lead, like we had such a good lead, and I greeted it a little bit. I didn't respect Trick Room enough, and I should have. Because like in that, I don't know, in that position, like you lead Comfey specifically so that you can Trick Room, right? So Thunderbolt Airstream there was a super safe play. My opponent had no switches into that. If we get the knockout there, then I have a speed boost on both of these. What do? I don't even have to activate the policy on Yveltal. In fact, I can just target around it, keep Airstreaming and Thunderbolting whatever's next to it, and then in the end game, we should be good. So yeah, definitely didn't play the best on turn 1, but that's okay. You live and you learn. So pretty sure Landorus should survive a +2 attack from Yveltal, and if it does, like I said, then this is really not that bad, but it's always good to analyze what you could have done better in the moment. Never mind, that one-shots. Okay, then it was definitely a double up on a Comfey. I guess the Dark Aura allows them... Wow. Holy cow, that's a one-hit KO? I'm honestly kind of shocked by that. I know Landorus isn't that bulky, but like, sheesh. Okay, well, that's game over then. That was a waste of us. Yeah, Volt Switch did so much just by itself there. I even could have just like Volt Switch Rock Slide turn 1, but Volt Switch Air, like I know exactly what I did wrong here. So I just have to play turn 1 a little bit differently. And the reason why I was like greeting a little bit there, because I was like, yeah, even if Trick Room goes up, like Landorus should survive, but it doesn't. So man, Yveltal into Landorus-T. Let's see, with Max Darkness at +2. I'm just curious what the role is. That like a guaranteed knockout? Maybe it is. What is? I'm really confused. I'm confused on how it one-shot. Honestly, let's see. What would Dark Pulse, Sucker Punch, Snarl, Foul Play? They're at +2, Modest. Because this damage calc is telling me Modest, Dark Aura. Oh, that's Dark Pulse, not Max Darkness. That's... Yeah, that's a guaranteed one-hit KO. Holy cow. Wow. Dark Aura is just that good. Well, now I know that. I just, I guess I keep underestimating these Max Mons. Yeah, without Dark Aura, it's like a very low chance to one-shot. It's actually still a roll anyway, so... Like I said, I mean, this game's kind of over after that. There's really not much I can do. Well, maybe we don't give up yet. I can Snarl and Parting Shot. No, but I think Yveltal from there and just closes it up for us at this point. Wow, that's impressive damage. So this is a really good lesson to learn from, honestly, because this is one in which we had a really good lead, and I didn't ask myself, like, do I actually need to get the Swords Dance off? And we could, like, all we need to do is deny Trick Room in this game, and we are in a really commanding position. So this is why, like, turn 1s matter a lot, and in this one, I kind of just tunnel vision on clicking Swords Dance. I was like, oh, I'm not going to take any damage here. And, yeah, good to know that Yveltal is really just that strong. That's impressive. And look how much damage it does into my Yveltal there. That was a crit. Okay, I was like, man, that did a lot. This does feel like a game like could have been decided on turn 1, and because it favored me, like I just needed to make the better play, but I didn't. So kudos to my opponent. They didn't lead Yveltal immediately. They were able to get Trick Room up successfully, and I got baited into Swords Dancing. So this is why it's really important to ask yourself what the worst case is. And Landorus-T was just so good. And like if I airstream turn 1, I honestly think we kind of just win the game off that. It's because like Landorus-T is so good into their team composition, so. I should have just, like, realized, hey, all I need to do is deny Trick Room and we're good here. So, that's why, like, it's important to lay out everything that your opponent can do, basically. Is there any chance in which we win this? Well, I suppose their Dynamax ends after this turn. There are 2 turns of Trick Room. You could just Draining Kiss Yveltal now. Max Darkness into a Lecky. Okay, this is actually not over yet, so I'm actually going to still try to play to my outs. I'm going to hope that with Snarl we survive Draining Kiss. We knock... Oh, actually, they just Helping Hand. Okay, never mind. Helping Hand is interesting. You would target a Lecky here, right? It makes sense because you get the knockout through Protect. No, they targeted Yveltal. Wow, that was a bold play because like we actually had an opportunity there to just Magnet Thunderbolt the Yveltal and switch our Yveltal out, sacrifice Landorus, or even just sack our own Yveltal. But the help that was them just making a hard read, I think. saying, hey, you're going to protect the Aleki. I'm just going to knock the Yveltal or the switch in, which makes sense, honestly. They had Aleki in the back with Life Orb. Their Dynamax ends at least. I just I like keep underestimating the restricted mons, and I think part of it is the abilities, because I keep like estimating these calcs based off what existed previously, right? Okay, I mean here we're just gonna fake out Yveltal, Electroweb, but this was kind of an inexcusable game to lose. But I make these mistakes so that you all can learn from them, right? Obviously, it's great to win all our matches, but I think this, was the perfect example of a game that we can learn a lot from. Okay, they protect Yveltal here. Makes sense. I'm just playing it out because, like, there was, like, a small chance we could have won, but after the really good play last turn, now it's, I think, pretty much impossible. Yeah, really no reason to not max Airstream. Okay, we get the U-Web off. We're not even max speed. Based on what they have in the back, though, I think this is still doable. It's tough, but I'm not going to give up because it's not guaranteed over yet. Could have been interesting if... No, I actually think I needed Instant in this endgame over the Yveltal, because my Yveltal was so low already. But the frustrating thing is, yeah, my opponent making that really good read, because I could have attacked with the Lecky. And I guess because I was so far behind in this game, I probably should have, honestly. It's one of those, like, go big or go home kind of plays. Oh, they have Sucker Puncher anyway. Okay, yeah. We did double miss Electroweb, but I don't think that mattered at all. Like, once again, I'm already... I mean, talked about this so much, but it really just boils down to turn 1. And having a really good lead matchup, and then, like, making probably the worst play with my lead matchup. All I needed to do was deny Trick Room. So this is why leads are really important. We actually had a really good lead into our opponent, but then you also have to execute your lead matchup properly, right? Because often, even if it looks really good on paper immediately, your opponent can completely just swing it immediately afterwards by making a good switch or doing something... or like speed control, for example, right? So like Trick Room is the best example of that. So yeah. Anyway, today I learned, even having used Yveltal, like how strong +2 Yveltal Max Darkness is. Because I think if Landorus survives there, we get the Rockfall KO in return, then it's honestly really not that bad. But yeah, I mean, based off the calc, we had no chance of surviving. So I learned a lesson there. But like I said, we had the opportunity to really snowball off turn 1. Didn't really take that, and I really should have. Swords Dance was a greedy play, because if you actually look at my opponent's team, Landorus actually just one-shots everything bar Yveltal anyway, and we don't really need a one-shot Yveltal because we have Landorus, Aleki, and our own Yveltal in the back. And if they don't get their weakness policy off, their Yveltal is in a really tough spot. So my opponent made the perfect play turn 1. I got punished heavily for it, so yeah. Either way, though, this team is really fun, so I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. If you did enjoy, please show support by leaving a like, and thank you to Binjie for the team. Check them out, linked in the description below, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, peace.